Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's conversation on the YouTube Creators Hub podcast. Dusty here, the host of the show, as always, joined today by Helena Liu. And I'm sure I hopefully did a proper job on her name there. Helena is let me tell you a little bit about her. She is the founder of Product Camps and Exams PM, and her goal is to help businesses enhance their efficiency and effectiveness through AI, automations, and project management. She wants to help turn AI from a novelty into a time-saving tool and become an AI-driven leader. Helena, how are you doing today?
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for that intro.
Yep, absolutely. So you have just over 70,000 subscribers over on your channel, which is just your name.
Yeah.
It's Helena, and your last name is spelled Liu if you're wanting to
Yep.
follow along as you're listening to the show. And you've done such a good job of growing the channel. Now, you told me off air that there might have been some parts of it early on that were accidental, or you really kind of were fumbling around in the early stages, but you've learned some things, and we're going to discuss those things today. But before
Right.
we do that, can you just give me kind of the origin story of like 240 videos ago when you decided to start the YouTube channel? What was that like? What was the whole creation process like? Just walk us through that whole thing.
Yeah, I think that was 5, 6 years ago. So for me, it wasn't an overnight, success by any stretch of that. And when I was just starting, I didn't really want to use my face or voice. Like when I listened to myself, I thought I sounded so awkward. I couldn't like look at myself on camera. So if you go further enough back, you'll see all of my videos are actually just slides. And then as soon as I post them, I was like, I can't watch it. I can't listen to myself. And I've come a long way since then. So it was really hard putting yourself out there, and fear of what is my friends and family going to say. So I definitely went through that whole entire phase. And I think it just with time you start caring less and less and less. And now
Mm-hmm.
I just accepted that my life is on the internet and I
Mm-hmm.
probably don't have a lot of privacy. So
I think that's a common thing that a lot of people deal with. What was it for you that turned the page to where you were just like, okay, I am going to put my face out there. I am going to put my voice out there. And listen, if I do this YouTube thing, I have to be in the videos, right? What was that thing for you that made you kind of just go over the edge and just say, okay, this is it?
I learned this concept called balance. So whenever you have someone complimenting you, you have also an equal force
Mm,
that is like, people hating you. And the higher you go, the more people love you and the more people that hate you. It's always going to be a balance. And that's kind of what keeps people humble as well, because you have, when you get into a side where you're too into the praise, then someone has to drag you kind of back down. So I kind of just saw the balance of things. And then I realized, well, I can be sitting in the stands of, let's say, a football field and watch the players and judge them, or I can be playing in the field. And
mm,
if I'm going to be playing in that field, there's always going to be people who hate me and there's going to be people who love me. But what's even worse is sitting in the stand and not trying it out at all. So
yeah.
that was what I that was like actually the analogy I went through in my head. And then that's when I'm like, you know what? There's always going to be haters, but at least I'm trying. At least I'm trying to help people.
I can tell I'm going to like you. You're using sports analogies. I'm a sports analogy guy. I do that quite frequently in my day-to-day life. Now, let's talk about the early challenges of growing the channel years ago when you started. What were some of the things that you dealt with other than just kind of the imposter syndrome of like, oh man, I hate the way I sound. I don't like the way I am on camera. Other than that, what were the challenges you dealt with, and what were some things that you did to kind of overcome those?
Well, when I started, I didn't know like what was SEO. I didn't know what kind of content people want. I didn't know how to create those content. And there's videos if you look on my channel that just does 200, 300 views. All the way up. I think my top performing video did just over 500,000. views. So it's kind of a really, really big range. And I wish I knew a exact formula on how to find the ideas that always hits that home run. But it's, I still have videos that flop even today. But I think the main thing is being consistent. Like even when you get those hits, or say, oh shit, it's easy to keep creating when things are going well. It's harder to do it when, all of your videos are only getting a couple hundred views,
I talked about that with my guest last week, and I asked him this question, and I'm curious to know what your thought on this is, because a lot of people deal with this. This is a very common thing where
Mhm.
you're doing well, and you've had that success, but then boom, you have
Yeah,
two or three videos that flop. What do
yeah.
you do? What do you do mentally as a creator to continue to come back to it and upload after that? What keeps you motivated and going to stay consistent? Because people listen to this and they get so tired of me saying the word consistent or consistency.
Yeah.
They just don't understand that that really is 95% of the battle. If you just keep showing up and you keep uploading, eventually you will see that gradual success. So how did you continue to push forward?
It's just like not looking at the numbers. Like even when things do well, like I don't let that quote unquote success like get to my head. And so when things don't go well, it doesn't affect me as much either. So like I'm not creating for that external validation. I'm creating because I think that the content that I'm creating on AI automations, project management is actually going to help my target audience, which is people looking to advance their careers and grow their businesses, achieve the goals that they want. So it's always keeping that end customer in mind and ignoring all the noise. Like I don't look at the views. Well, I do, but like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not obsessed with
Mm-hmm.
looking at how many views am I getting, how many subs am I getting, but it just focused on what is the goal that you're trying to achieve with that channel and just keeping that mission in mind.
I love
Really.
that. And staying on the same theme here, what is something that you wish you would have known sooner? Now that you are 5, 6, 7 years into this thing, looking
Yeah.
back in retrospect, obviously, if we would have known now, that's not going to happen. But I love this question because you can look back at your channel and be like, man, if I just would have known that, the importance of this or this little tactic that I implemented, I could have been even farther along today. What would that thing be for you?
I think probably creating better thumbnails.
Mm,
I'm not sure if there's one thing. Probably hire a video editor faster. My top performing videos, all of my top 5 performing videos, they were edited by me, believe it or not. So I really bootstrapped this. Actually, you know what? I just thought of a good one. I would say that don't think that you can't get started if you don't have a big budget. Like my first videos were filmed in my bedroom, so they were not, high tech fancy. And I edited them myself. And now it's even easier. Back in the days, we didn't have AI to help you with video editing. Now, I used just iMovie to edit it, so I didn't even pay for Adobe Premiere Pro.
mhm.
But now, you can use AI tools like Descript, change your eye direction, create the fancy captions and all of that. So now is even easier than what it was 5, 6 years ago with the tools that we now have.
Something I want to discuss with you is where you think AI and automation fits in for creators. I want to do that as we kind of get towards the end of the show. So before I get there, because I have a lot of questions for you because you're so engulfed in the space of AI. I
Yeah.
want to ask you about monetization first. So
Mm.
I mentioned in the intro, and we haven't spoke about it much, so I'm gonna do that now. You're the founder of Product Camps and Exams PM.
Mhm.
So that's kind of what you do along with the YouTube channel in tandem. So that's kind of where we are now. But how do you make money from the YouTube channel? And if you don't mind sharing, can you give on average kind of maybe what you're making from the creative things that you're creating out there, so we can get a better perspective of kind of where you are at and kind of how you're performing on that side of things?
Yeah, so YouTube brings in 4 different channels, which I can speak to, but I won't speak to the exact numbers I'm getting.
Mm,
But the first is obviously the ads that run, but that's only probably about 10, 15% of the money that I make from YouTube. A big part, the second portion is courses. So I have about 60 different courses I created over the years. But 80-20 rule, only like 2 to 4 perform really well. And so I have courses on AI automations as well as PMP, which stands for Project Management Professional. It's a certification that project managers get. So courses, and then I get sponsorships, but less so. Like I'm very, very picky with the sponsorships I take on. I probably say no to 98% of sponsors that want to come on to my show. I had to like their product. They had to be a good fit, you know, and sponsor. So I said sponsorships and affiliate program. Oh no, that's 5. Yeah. And then I have affiliates to some of the AI tools I use. So, I only do the affiliate programs of tools I was going to use anyways. So I never take on affiliate programs for the sake of taking on affiliate programs. And then the last one is the AI agency. So some business owners just want us to do it for them. And so we have the agency side, I should say.
And that's what Product Camps and Exams PM. Explain that briefly, what that is and how it's integrated with the YouTube channel and how you use the YouTube channel to basically get clients for that.
Yeah, so Exams PM is my project management certification business, and Product Camps is my AI and automations business. So I would make relevant tutorials about things that we see is, our clients are asking or struggling with, and that's one way that I get my ideas. Is like, what questions are people repeatedly asking me? And I was like, oh, if these people want these questions answered, then there will be other people who want the same questions answered, and so that's how I get some of the ideas for my videos, and then the links will be in the descriptions for them to book a free call, and depending on what services they want, on the low end for the service portion, not the course, for the service portion, the price starts at like $2,000 for us to implement AI and automations into their business, and our highest deal to date is 26,000 for a project implementation.
And so basically you're using this free content on YouTube to
Mhm.
generate the eyeballs. And then once you get the views, you then hope that a portion of those will then click into do the free call, which will then lead to one of those kind of higher income earning opportunities for your business, right? Where you basically help businesses, regardless of kind of the business type, of how can we integrate AI and automation into your specific business. So
Right.
let's just say for simple terms, there is a dentist out there and he's like,
Yeah.
okay, I want to be more efficient. I know the AI is here, but I'm AI ignorant. I want to know how you can help me. Well, Helena and her company will actually show me and implement this specific for my business, not just for dentists, but specifically for Dr. Johnson or whoever, right? So I love that. I love kind of the way that you're kind of churning these people from YouTube into the business, and then you're helping them with AI. So, all right, we got that. We know where you stand with that. I
Mhm.
want to now pick your brain about AI and creators.
Mhm.
Give me just the top level. If I'm a creator, you need to be using these things. Like these are like the can't miss, right? I'm not asking you to tell us how to implement them, but you've already mentioned Descript. I use Descript for podcast editing, some video editing stuff. There's some really fun stuff. We are also struggling, Helena, with tool overload.
Yeah.
There are so many things out there that it's almost, a lot of creators come on my coaching calls with me and they say, Dusty, I just am tired of all of it because I don't know which way to go or where to turn. And I think that's what's so important about a business like yours is you're basically pointing them to the few tools they need to use and forget the rest. So
Right.
give us the rundown.
Right. So YouTube Shorts has been super popular that I've seen. Although in terms of monetization, it's like 10 times less than a long form video, but it gets the eyeballs. Like I'm finding them watching more shorts because they're short.
Mm-hmm.
Than long form video where you had to kind of like really sit down to do it. So for even my channel going forward is something that I'm not going to ignore anymore. I have a video, one of my top performing videos is creating 1,000 YouTube shorts in 10 minutes 19 minutes, I think. So I definitely encourage people to watch that. I'll give you the rundown too. Essentially, you film a short video of yourself doing some sort of, action. It can be like pointing to the screen, like for 3 parts to show up. You could be twirling, you could be doing a silly dance, TikTok dance, whatever. And you can go into Canva and go into bulk create and get part one to show up, like a part one text, part two text, and part three text. And those 3-part text could be like how to get your mortgage, if you're a mortgage channel. It could be, if it's chat GPT tips, it could be like part one of a prompt, part two of a prompt, part three of a prompt, and you can actually just use the YouTube API and schedule all of these videos on automation, and you can get like a year worth of YouTube shorts done, in an afternoon.
Hmm.
And so that would be one tip that I have. And another one is Opus, OPUS. I've really like that one too. It takes your long form video and it picks out a minute of it and turns it into a YouTube short, and it adds the fancy captions at the bottom. So it's great for podcasts. Long form video where you're sharing your screen, probably not as good for that.
Yeah.
But if you have a more podcast style video,
Yeah, I've worked with Opus. They sponsored the podcast. Just a disclaimer: I'm not currently working with them for this episode, but I love Opus. I love the ability to take a long form podcast episode and then it breaks it down into what it thinks to be the most kind of important short form videos from there, and I love that. What else? Anything else?
I would just say that to utilize AI, and one thing that I've seen people hold people back from AI is that they're like, well, the human created content still does more views, it still gets more eyeballs, and that is true. But you can create the AI content so much faster. So if you can churn out 2, 3 shorts a day using AI in like no time at all, that is still going to add up to that one human video. So I would say to use a combination of AI content and human content. So so it like supplements each other. So AI content is for quantity and human content is for quality. That's what I would say.
If someone's trying to keep up with all the AI news, where would you recommend they do that? Because it's all over the place. Is it newsletters? Is it certain YouTube creators? I know there's a lot of popular AI YouTubers out there. There's podcasts. There's things that are out there. But like, if you just want a quick hit every week of like, how do I stay up to date with this stuff because it is changing all the time? What would you say to that?
I would say um, I would say don't do that. Actually, I know it sounds like a little contrary, especially given that I have an AI channel, because it's easy to get lost in the noise. I think the way I look at it is look at, okay, what are you trying to achieve? Like, what's your big overall goal? There's 2 main types of people that follow me: the business owners who want to do it for their own business, and people who are looking for a job in AI so that they can learn the skill set and do it for the business owners. So I would, okay, so, if we were looking at you, would say, what is your goal? Grow your channel. Okay. So how can AI, what are the tasks that you're currently doing? How can AI fit into all those tasks? What are the best tools to use at the moment for those? And then that's going to set you up for the next, at least 6 months to a year. AI is not changing that quickly yet. Even when new tools are coming out, I kind of want other people to be the beta testers before I jump in. So it's kind of just sitting down and creating like a quarterly or biannual plan for yourself for AI, and implementing that, and then revisiting it again down the road and not getting lost in, oh my gosh, what's the coolest gadget that's out right now?
Yeah, it's kind of like tech itself, right? Cameras, audio gear. You don't need all that mess. I mean, yeah, you need the thing that's going to work for you, and stick with it and continue to use it and optimize and get as good at that as you possibly can. I hate talking about the positives, the pros, without talking about the cons. I work with a lot of artists. We all, as video creators, are artists ourselves. And what are the dangers of this? Where do you see, like, where should we put up some guardrails of like, okay, I'll be honest with you, Helena, you talked about you only take like a very small percentage of sponsorship deals. Every week I'm getting thrown
every day
new sponsorship deals for the podcast. And we're talking big money. We're not talking like a few $100s. I mean, I've had AI companies early on that were wanting to come on the podcast saying, hey, we'll put you on a retainer for 3 months for like $5,000 for the podcast.
Yeah.
That sounds great. They got a lot of money right now to throw around with venture capital, you know, all the things that they're getting support from. So where should we put up our guardrails? Where should we be wary? And what is the danger of automation in AI for creating and content creators?
Yeah, I mean, one, it's overload of content and having the consumer find it harder to look for the information that they actually want. That would be one danger, because it's so easy now to spin out a new YouTube video, a new post. You can even just clone your, you can create an AI human and have that person talk using something like Essentia or D-ID. So you can have a whole channel completely faceless or with an AI created person um, talking that content. And obviously, that comes with its own ethical issues, one. Two, I always have to try to balance between not looking like I'm selling out and also taking on the right sponsorship deals. And the way I navigate that is that I only promote tools that I'm actually using. And it's not my main, like sponsorships is not my main source of income. It's like, I don't know, 1 to 5% of how much I'm making. So it's like I can live without it. Like even if I had no sponsorship on my channel, it's fine. For me, like that's not like the way that I grow my channel. So and I keep it that way so that the content is authentic. And I would say the third danger would be to myself. Like once I was on a random call and then someone recognized me from my and it was like a tech call and someone recognized me from that call from my YouTube channel. It's like, oh well, it was flattering, but it also to kind of think about your own. I'm not there yet, but like I think when the channel gets to a certain point, I also have to think about my own personal safety with that. Yep.
Do you worry about losing the essence as creators? You know, artists and musicians are already talking about this in regards to AI. And just hearing in your voice the responses you've had today in this interview, you're very much on the safe side when it comes to AI. You're talking like I do. You say, hey, use it as supplemental. You know, this is
Right.
not here to replace. This is here to
Right.
supplement.
Right.
Do you worry that as we continue, if we don't put regulation on this, that it's going to get out of control to a point to where there is going to be information overload? The real creators are going to lose out to the people behind the keyboards who are able to do this thing way faster and have, I don't know. Does any of that scare you, and how do we protect from all that?
It doesn't particularly scare me because I know where this technology currently is, and it's not currently at the point where it can create as good as a human. The voices still sound a little robotic, and when you read AI text, it's still somewhat repetitive.
They
Like
use the same words, the same adjectives of,
yeah, yeah,
revolutionary. This. Whenever I read something, I'm like, oh, Chat GPT spat that out. I can tell you right now.
yeah, exactly. So it doesn't scare me now, where it's gonna be in 5 years, 10 years from now. I think that would it can definitely be an issue because of how quickly this technology is getting really good. I don't know if you heard of the VASA one from Microsoft.
I've heard of that. Yes.
Yeah, so they actually can't launch that because of how real those videos looked. It's all, apparent. I mean, I've seen some demos, but I haven't played around with it. But apparently, Microsoft couldn't launch that because of how real it mimicked the real human, and for ethical reasons. So
Yeah.
something like that would not be scary to me from a creator perspective, but I do worry about my personal safety because my face and voice, there's hundreds of hours of that on the internet. So someone can very easily clone me and pretend to be me. That part does scare me.
Yeah, it's man. There's a lot coming down the pipeline, and we've talked about it before. It's coming very quickly. But I do believe that if you're a creator, and you know, if you were to listen to this show 8, 9 years ago, I was talking about other things. We were talking about other technologies. You know, at the
Right.
time it might have been mirrorless cameras or 3D or VR. You know, but I don't think AI is a flash in the pan. I think AI is here to stay. It's like the internet, right? It's now we're getting into the AI age,
Mhm.
and you would be really ignorant if you didn't at least become knowledgeable about some of the tools and skill sets needed, or else you're going to get left behind as a creator. And so I kind of want people that listen to this to understand that yes, it is scary, you have to be careful and safe with it, but it is important for you to be knowledgeable and to know what's coming and how to utilize some of the tools so you can make sure that you're on the same playing field as the other people who are creating content around you, which I think is important.
Right.
So
Right. Maybe a perception that I see is from some people is that if they bury their head in the sand, then it doesn't exist.
that's right.
And I hate to burst your bubble, but that's just not the truth. Like AI is here, whether you like it or not. You can't stop it. You and I can,
Mm-hmm.
use all of our powers combined and we can't stop it. And, even if everyone listening put all our powers together, we still can't stop it. So, you can't, it's here to stay. We can't, there's nothing we can do to stop it. So the way I look at it is you have two choices. You can bury your head in the sand and pretend it doesn't exist, or you can embrace it. And that's really your only choices. And I think it makes just rational sense to see what it's about and to use it to your advantage, you know?
Final question. What's next for your channel? Short term and long term, what are you looking to do for the channel to continue to grow it at the rate you're growing it now?
Oh, more. I hired on a video editor
Mm-hmm.
recently, so I finally got that off of my plate. And those who are listening who edited videos, you know how long it took to edit those videos. So because I'm now able to outsource that task. I'm trying to create 2 videos a week now instead of 1 video a week. So just getting more content out there and also having a strategy for YouTube Shorts, which is, if you look on my channel, that's historically not something I have done well on, but I definitely want to do more of that going forward. So, getting 2 long form videos out a week, and also getting a video, getting more YouTube Shorts out every single week.
I love it. Helena, you have been an amazing guest. I know my audience is going to love this episode. They're going to eat it up. So thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thank you so much for having me.